on your own various YouTube pages. Tonight, when I go live on Facebook, I'll put it on the Mozone and I'll put it on my page. And then if you can use your phone to maybe share it on your own page, or if I can, I'll try to share it in all the various places.
Yeah, thank you.
Does anybody watch Kirsten CW, like the model girl Kirsten? And
I do.
Okay. I love it. She makes me feel so good about what I do because she's always like,
yeah, she's always fidgeting.
Yeah, she's always fidgeting and out loud and arguing with people. So I think
right.
Oh God. So I need to, okay, that's what happened last time. I didn't have viewers. I didn't make it public. Okay, so you're 19. Okay. Mia. Yeah, this girl, she was doing her hair and everything. See the group members. Ria. I wanted to write Ria, Victoria. So this might show up on your pages. Stacy, did you ever add me as a friend?
Oh, did I not? Let me do that. I can.
And I'm getting on your name tonight too because it looks like an Egyptian word.
Oh, my husband's Armenian.
Oh. So I'm going to ask you about that.
Okay.
Hello, Victoria. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At Stacy. Somehow I tagged you earlier. How do you spell your name? Well, never mind. H-A-K-O.
Well, now I trusted you.
I see you. All right, we're going to go live. Oh, and I like to play frequency in the background so my things come out positive. I do some mind control.
I heard that. I have to stay mental alchemy because.
Yeah, so here we are. We're live. I can see us live. And I'm going to go ahead and start sharing now. Sharing now. Let's see. Public. Sharing group. So you guys are tagged. Can you see it like on your pages, possibly?
I saw the notice show up.
Cool.
Okay, yeah, I saw it. I see it. Yay, okay.
Okay, well, I'll stop looking at us and I'm gonna start looking at you. This is the First Lady Erica. And so tonight we some friends of mine, we all got together so we could talk about uniting the divine feminine. Today is a beautiful day. It's 12/12. That's a special day. We're all getting ready for Event 2020 and welcoming in this new year of prosperity and peace. And we just have a lot of hope for the future, a lot of things that I'm looking forward to. I help people with their finances and prosperity really just helping them to get the mindset, because people have a bad relationship with money. And I think before you can claim all this prosperity, sometimes you got to attack the problem, which is your relationship with money, your views of money, the myths about money. And so that's what I do. And I love to help entrepreneurs connect. I'm a conduit. That's what I consider myself, as a conduit for prosperity. And so that's why I do the Mozone in the first place. It's just to talk to different business owners and get their information out there and help them connect to my other friends and business owners. That's what I like to do. And then I think I'll start with Victoria. Tell us your name, what business it is that you do, and why you chose that business.
Okay, I'm Victoria Kuyanga, and the business that I do basically is helping to uplift others. And my business name is It's in the Bottle. I work with flower essences, which is the energetic form of flowers, not like essential oils. Essential oils are more dense and physical in quality, and the flower essences are energetic. So energetic, more like the spirit of the flower. And what I do is help to transform negative thought patterns with the energy of flowers. And let's see, well, that's it.
You know, I'm just learning about that maybe a couple of weeks ago. Like, I know there's color therapy, and then there's aromatherapy, and now you have the flowers. And so the flowers take on a very serious healing aspect. So Victoria, how did you even discover this, and what brought you to this, Victoria?
Well, being a double Pisces, I've always been very aware of the emotions and how they affect our lives, and been very sensitive to the thoughts and emotions of people around me. And I've been a massage therapist for about 33 years. And I noticed that many of my clients would come in, and the same problem would be existing within their bodies over and over again. And no matter what I did to try to work with them on the physical level, it never would quite be long-standing. So when I was introduced to the flowers, I was able to work with my clients and help to eliminate the thought patterns that were creating these imbalances in their bodies. And it worked for me, it worked for my clients, it works for my animals. And how I first came about it was about 30 years ago. And I was working as an herbal therapist in a holistic center. And they had a workshop that I attended. And I had just had a fight with my fiance that day. I came in very upset, and my teacher looked at me and she says, "Oh, your joy button is off." And she went to her drawer and she pulled out a bottle. It was scarlet monkey flower. Okay. And she said, "Here, take a couple of drops of this." She put it under my tongue, and immediately my mind settled. My everything balanced within me, and I felt this tremendous harmony, and I couldn't even remember what I'd been upset about. What I did realize is the belief that I had centered around the argument was that I didn't have the right to speak up for myself.
Oh, wow.
Because I had two very powerful beings that were coming at me with their authoritative sense of self, okay? And it was being put on me. And I took that in as being true. So that's what I was holding. And when I took the flowers, it immediately cast out that lie. And I knew the truth, and I wasn't upset anymore. I was like, oh, that was a lie. And I never fell for that crap again. So it was like in the moment, I didn't even have to take it for very long because I got the truth. I got the experience so suddenly and so like powerfully. And I thought, wow, if 2 little drops of flowers can do that for me, what can it do for the world? And what can it do for everybody that I'm involved with? So I was hooked. And it took me about 10 years to really come full around to decide how I was going to, really implement that in a business. But I've been using them ever since.
I'm smiling really hard because she said her fiance. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna tell people how long ago that was because
it's been a while. It was
some
all relationships have their ups and downs, they're not perfect and you do have to work through things. So the flowers have helped me tremendously with my emotions and really helping me understand who I really am and my connection to source. And flowers are just pure light energy. So when you bring in the light, it pushes out all the darkness. So you can get on with your life and the most important things, right?
Right.
So
I do love flowers myself. Whenever I'm feeling down, I love to have flowers and plants in the house. It's just something about the energy. I even like talking to them. I
right.
believe you can learn from everything. So I love talking to plants and trees and flowers because they have so much wisdom within themselves and they can answer so many questions. And even like in my own cycles of transformation and speaking with plants, they've helped me walk through that cycle because they know about that cycle better than anybody I feel. So.
Wow.
Oh, they're completely non-judging. They're just full accepting. And they're giving themselves to you. All you have to do is just accept,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All it takes is just a little acknowledgement.
Right. Yeah. I used to have this giant rock that I sat next to in my backyard. And people laugh at me. I said, no, when I sit next to this rock, it talks to me. I can ask questions and answers come in. I don't know how that gets done, but everything is alive. Everything.
Yeah. Everything has a consciousness, a
Yes.
spirit,
Mhm.
as I say.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Reminded me of the movie The Color Purple, and I think it was Sugar Reese. He said, "If you can't just walk past the color purple without I don't know what she said. She was like, but you have to acknowledge it
Yeah.
when you walk past the color purple." And she was walking past the flowers in the field.
Yeah.
I still like corny flower print on dresses, and I still like that old fashioned print. So, Ria Soleil, you were speaking. I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what it is that you do and why.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ria. I am what I call a therapist and a spiritual doula. Um,
Before you go on, I don't know if you could turn your mic up maybe a little bit.
Here, let me see. I may need to just move this closer because I've been having some wonky things go on with my mic and with my camera. Can you guys hear me now? Or
I want everyone to be able to hear you so well. So tell us what it is you do and who you are. You're Ria.
okay, so I'm Ria, and I'm a therapist and a spiritual doula. Those titles are ones that kind of was given to me from my guides. I use my gifts to really what I call walk people through the rebirthing process. Once they, opened up spiritually and they find themselves awakening and they're just confused and they don't know where to go. So I help people along that path, and the focus with that is emotional healing and self mastery. And I got into that because, for one, it was really about my childhood, my relationships when I got as an adult. I grew up seeing domestic violence. I ended up repeating that same cycle in my relationships. And so it became very important to me when I did break free out of that to really not only heal myself, but after I went through that journey, it was put on me to help other women walk through that journey, and really just help
Mhm.
heal the feminine energy and learn and help women learn how to master themselves and master this 3D matrix that we live in so that they can really get in alignment with their highest purpose, their highest good. And it's a journey that I'm still continuing to this day because I feel like it's something that's, a lifelong journey. And I'm just really passionate about helping other people do that. So I do it through coaching and with my readings like that. My readings are specifically made to help you dig deep and uncover all of
Good,
that yuck and release it and expand past it.
There's
good.
the word spiritual doula.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Um,
Um,
you-
I walk with people through that transformation. I don't like because people they come in and they're like, I'm trying to be a spiritual leader, and I don't want to be a leader. I want to be a guide. I want to, I believe that everyone is sovereign over self and should lead their self. And so the purpose of my
Good.
service is to help people step into that leadership by guiding them through the blueprint that I went through myself.
Exactly. And I think we will talk about that later too, because it's very important that people don't look for someone to follow, but just someone to show them the way and then kind of release them on to their own path. And I think that's definitely something that has wounded us as a people because we're always looking for someone to just tell us every single decision. Should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? And never really getting to learn to listen to the voice inside you that guides you, you know? And
Yeah, and
oh, I'm sorry.
don't doulas help to rebirth or to give birth to,
Yeah.
so you're helping help others to give birth to themselves, their true selves?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I do. Yes.
I can totally see it like you got some curtains up and then people just like I'm bored.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's as dramatic as I am. That's how I feel every time I go through one. And I want everyone to feel that same empowerment because it's like stepping out onto the stage and finally saying, I'm me. So
I am me. Yes.
So do you have any physical contact with them, Bria? Do you do any kind of physical energy work with your readings? Or what does that look like?
I do offer energetic work. I don't, I honestly don't do like in the same vicinity, but I do energetic work, which could be equivalent to chakra pulling. It's specifically, I work with the sacral chakra, and it's a particular service that I offer where I help people go into trance states while we help uncover the roots of where their sacral chakra is blocked at. And then after we do that, what I do is I spend about 30 minutes and I energetically pull to help clear that chakra pathway so that it can flow more easily while they're working on the mental alchemy part of it.
Wow, that's very unique. Where
Oh,
did you learn that? Did you create that yourself?
Actually, I was trained to do this. It started out as me going into training for trance work. I had two specific mentors, and I just want to do a shout out to them. Their name is Astara and Nathan. They were awesome during my training, but also with that, when I started, because that training is what helped me connect with my actual spirit guide who was assigned to me to help me learn the gifts that I needed to walk my purpose. And it was through my spirit guide where I learned about the energetic pulling.
Okay. All right. And it's interesting that you pick the sacral chakra because that's where our rebirthing, that's our creativity center. So that's where we create from. So yeah,
Yes,
interesting.
it's the chakra that I'm drawn to. Honestly, when it comes to like my human design, that's my strong energy for it. So
Yeah, it's also my favorite color, orange. So
yes, I love orange. It's just something about it. I think I look good in orange for one. So I love it.
good for you. Thank you.
So I think it was Stacy's turn.
Stacey,
Is that okay? Hello, is it my turn?
yes, who you
Hi,
are.
Stacy.
You want to tell us what
Hi.
country you're in and what it is you do and why?
Okay, first of all, beautiful ladies. A great description for everyone. The doula thing, I love that she chose doula. I had a doula on my first birth, my daughter 15 years ago, and she left me for like a minute to go to the restroom during like hours and hours of guidance, and being there. Thought I was gonna die till she came back, but then we were fine. So yeah, doula, that's great. That's a great description. And then the flower, amazing. I've always used that as part of, for many years, I've always told the kids, like people are like a bunch of flowers, and imagine, if one flower stood up and wanted to be, the best flower out of all the beautiful flowers, it just doesn't work that way. We're beautiful together. And so I feel so touched by both of your description, all three of you, really great stuff. And I love how you're connecting people, Erica. So what I do, and you kind of gave me a great segue or intro, because, I think I resonate most with, I just am a writer, and I created a blog years ago. I just started having a lot of writing that just wanted to come through. And my life wasn't exactly designed, for that. I was a young children, and I homeschool them, and I'm busy, and, a lot going on. But most mornings, there was a 4-year period where I had like just a lot coming through. And that was, I think, 13 through 16. And I recently started, 2020 giving me a lot of inspiration to, get back to it and sharing more, but a lot of writing projects. I'm just a writer at heart. But Live What You Know is what it's called. And in my journey, I've just found so many times I've, run into people or been with people, and women often will say to me, especially about the homeschool thing, is that they wish they could do that. They, never did it. And, or anything I've chosen in my life, I've been told many times, oh, I wish that's something I could do. And, I don't know if we lost, did we lose somebody? Oh, anyway. So I just love I think I lost it.
I see you.
There we go. Sorry. Yeah, I lost everything. Sorry. Anyway, so the writings are all about living what you know. And since I was young, very young, my kind of voice, or that's something I listened to inside, was always sort of telling me not to become bitter, and to say, from what I was seeing around me and kind of, things in this world and the discomfort I sort of always had here and didn't truly understand until years later. So it just always, once I became, an adult out on my own stuff, sure to live what I know. And we're constantly being told, this voice, or we should do this, or we should do that. And it's hard. Like first we made some big changes with the things we, whether it was how we decided to eat differently, and, your family members don't love it. And then we decided it started too with doctor situations when the kids were small, just becoming a mother when I had a very important doctor relationship when the babies were very small, and he said to me, well, what do you think? And he was a renowned, doctor with the whole family in the business for many years, but he was also going through his own thing, I now realize, and he had fired all his own insurance companies and was, changing in himself. But he, explained the mother knows, and so I just stepped into it. We do know. We're so guided. We're so cared for. There's such source is just always communicating with us. And it's kind of stunning to me. And that, when we then switched out, we went to homeschool. When kids were younger, I'm on my 11th year now of homeschooling. And people so many times, oh, I wish I could do that. I could never do that. And you hear them genuinely wanting to do something, but not following, that. And so it's not easy. You lose your friends, you lose all kinds of things, but you gain, and just to stand in your truth. So I'm really excited about the future. I love how she said in the beginning, I think we are coming into the age of truth, and, the veils are lifting where we can see more, what's going on in the world, and more people standing up. The cancel culture is just such a bad, a situation where people, I love, connecting with people like you who have stood in their truth and are living from what's important to them. So we'll see where it takes me. I'm just a writer at heart, but I have it kind of informally so far, but I'm also open to in the future. I've had a lot of people gravitate towards, just that helping people find their own authenticity and their own voice. And the more you know yourself and you just live from that place of what you know, you're not ever threatened by what somebody else knows that may be different. People, it's a curious world, and it's such a beautiful experience to just love, well, what do you tell me more about what and just to learn and grow and change all the time. So my writing is funny, like just at the top, what I used to say, live what you know, has meant to me over the years. That changes all the time, and it should. We should be growing, changing, and stepping into what we know. And this year has certainly been, a lot of that. So that's about all.
You said that live what you know and always changing. At the bottom of my email, I guess they call it your signature. Once a few years ago, I had, you may know me today, but you might not know me tomorrow.
Yeah,
Because
that's beautiful.
I knew for all this time, all this 40 plus years that I've been changing and growing.
Yeah.
And, the idea that this whole planet is changing and people want to unplug from this system, this way of things. The idea, and I'm gonna tell you how serious it is. I've met people that they sleep outside or they sleep in tents because they just are tired and don't want to do this thing anymore. When I was younger, my idea of life was I want to get $1 million. Why? Not so I could have anything fancy. I just wanted to buy some land, irrigate it, grow my own food, and make my own clothes. So basically what I wanted as a teenager was to buy my freedom because I never saw myself working every day until the day that I die. I wanted to live and enjoy my life. This is a conversation I was having with Robert earlier was that, men are going out and working and they're getting getting spit on and abused, and they come home and they're too tired to communicate with their wife and their kids because the world is beating them down. And then if you got a mom that works, she's so tired from work, she can't even take care of her own house. You know what I'm saying? So people are tired, and I really think 2020 is like, how much more can you take from those people? So, Shalom, I am light. She's
hey, you guys.
Oh, yay.
Hi, Shalom.
This whole thing is her idea. And the amazing thing about her and this idea was that uniting the divine feminine was really about Black, white, Polynesian, Asian, Filipino, Hispanic. We need each other. We're all, like you say, a bouquet of beautiful flowers. And I don't have, anything against anyone that doesn't have anything against me. And even sometimes if they have something against me, really, do I have anything against them? I see people as being helpless and harassed. So a lot of people are getting beaten around by the spirit. They're helpless and harassed. So a lot of things that we see, all this negativity in the street and on the news and on TV, is a bunch of people who have no clue who they are, where we're from, or what we're doing, what the plan is. And they're letting that frustration out on each other. And so here it is, I meet Shalom, I am light, and she's just become a light. One of my closest friends. I went to, I mean, I'm not even in communication really with my friends from high school. I'm so changed constantly that to reach back out to these same people, like there's no, it's reaching out in the dark. There's no connection there. But I had this connection to her. And for me, both of us have been in the military. So, but I've been in the military and deployed over in Europe. And my biggest thing was learning that, hey, Europe is different. Germany is different. Italy is different. France is different. Some people go nude. Some, girls hold hands. People, People drink beer at lunch. And so we have to understand that we're brought up in this Protestant Christian atmosphere where we think all these things, this is what's right and this is the way it has to be. When you go other countries, it's not the same. So she's one of those people that challenges my mental because I'm like, I don't like this. I sent her something last night. I said, I want to kick this chick in the back because of something she did. And I was serious, like, man, but I know it's not bad. It's not necessarily something bad. So sometimes we have these labels of this is good and this is bad. And boy, she's so open to the world. So this is Shalom. Go ahead and tell us who you are, what it is you do, and how you ended up doing it, why you like it so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Girls, I am so excited to see your beautiful faces on here because when I see you, I see so much light. I see so much love. I see so much passion. I see the zeal. I see the understanding. I see the knowledge. I see the wisdom in each of you.
And the desire.
Yes. And I see that you have a heart for the people of this planet. Because you have dug in the trenches of life and you have found the gold. You have found the treasure that is hiding within each and every human. You have found yourself. You have found God within yourself. And therefore you have found God and see God within others. And that is something to applaud. I had a walk and that's why I'm late because I was downstairs having a conversation with the universe. And I was walking and I was thinking about, I was talking to my neighbor downstairs, James. James is undergoing chemotherapy right now. James has had surgeries. James is struggling in his health immensely. And when I see James, the universe reminds me of how I still have to remain compassionate. And I look at his mindset and he is polarized on a negative. Now I know he wants good for people, but something in him doesn't allow him to see the good in life because he does not see the good in himself. He has gone through things in his life that I could never see myself ever thinking in such a way about life. And that what gives me so much more passion to be who I am and speak my truth about, the things that are going on in our planet and the things that we face in our personal lives. I'm very transparent. I was in the military. It taught me how to get along with everybody. I was always that kind of kid anyway. I fucked with the jocks, with the nerds, with the cheerleaders, with the geeks, with the stoners. I fucked with the kids that skip school on occasion and smoke weed. Right? I was able to get along with everyone and not see, oh, somebody's better than this person and that person. I ain't fit into none of the groups anyway. I was usually by myself. Maybe had 2 friends or 3 friends at the most. In high school, I remember maybe having 3 girlfriends, but out of the 3, I was really only close to one. The closest to one. We were all just friends because of one individual that we all had in common. It was one of those things. So I find myself sometimes being a loner, but I also feel myself able to associate and get along with anybody in this world, in this community, in this life. So that was one of the reasons why I put this together, because I wanted to allow the world to see us unite as divine goddesses, as sisters, that the love that I found in myself, I see in each and every one of you. Erica and I have the military in common. Rhea and I, we have that, we on that same timeline divine counterpart journey, and it is a healing monster.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Like,
it
I'm
does
ready
us
for
good.
it.
Right? Listen, I was, when I was outside speaking with the universe, I was looking at the stars. I was looking at how Saturn and Jupiter are so close to us right now. It is so bright out there right now. If you just take a moment and look at that southwest night sky, you can see them. They're just like this, not quite aligned. And it gives me so much shivers and vibrational jitters. I just love it. And as I was walking from one end to the other on my building, I was looking at all the stars and they all appeared brighter. And the universe, God source, said to me, that's because they are all watching you all right now.
Wow.
Planet Earth is the center of attention in our galaxy, in the universe right now. We are on the minds and the hearts of all of our galactic brothers and sisters. They are rooting for us. They are cheering for us because they are all here for the birth of the new earth. And everybody know when a mama and have some children and her oldest have a baby, everybody trying to be up in there, but her mom's right there. Her dad is right there. Her sisters and brothers are all in the waiting room. They all just, ready to see this newborn baby.
Yeah.
And they're watching us just like that. Jupiter and planet and Saturn are right there. The heaven and the earth are right there watching us like our baby she is giving birth right now. We will bear witness to the new birth of this new baby. And I just felt my vibration to just going like crazy when Source spoke that into me today. And I said, I'm gonna make sure I tell our ladies that. And I was getting everything ready, and Erica's calling me. I was like, oh, my phone's ringing. But I'm just so glad that it's so fresh in me. It happened for a reason.
Yes. It's funny that you spoke about the source giving you a message, because I was doing some automatic writing today, and I was getting messages about, we're in that time period where it's time to make that choice, whether you're going to be, negatively polarized or positively polarized. And, it was talking about how this is a time to really just envision what you want to birth into life, envision who you want to be. And it's so, it's a great feeling because, without even being aware of what's going on, it's been one of those things where we can just really lean into it and feel the push towards these changes. And it's something that's really, is really driving us, because even without getting that message and getting that download from source, we've all been feeling it. We've all been feeling that it's time to make a choice. It's time to, am I gonna, leave all of this behind? I even got the download that at the end of 2020, I'm to leave everything that I manifested before this point, because it was manifested out of fear. It was manifested out of desperation. It was manifested out of, that lack mentality. And when you make that choice, that dedication, you're going to ascend, you're going to rise to a greater version. You start to realize that out of those things that you were trying to hold on to have a sense of who you were. I don't even want to say who you are, but who you were. It really, it comes to this point to where it's just a burden that you have to drop.
Yes. And that speaks of a passage of scripture when the young rich ruler, when Jesus, he wanted to go with Jesus. He wanted to say, Master, how do I enter into the kingdom? He wanted Jesus to take him with him. And Jesus said, this is not somewhere that I can take you. It is something that you have to earn. He said, well, what is it that I'm supposed to do? He said, drop all of your bags, give all of your riches, give everything you have away. And then you can enter into the kingdom. And the man and the rich young ruler went away in tears, saddened by what Jesus said, because he didn't want to let go of none of his stuff. He had attachments.
Attachments, yeah.
He
Attachments.
had things.
Yes.
He had attachments, things that he may not have in money necessarily, but he had some stuff he was holding on to. And that's when Jesus said that it was easier for the camel to make it through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to make it into the kingdom of God. And you did a thing. You left behind something.
You know, that's a cycle that I've had to master, being unawakened. But it's definitely a cycle that I've had to master. It's liberating, but it's scary. And something that I've learned having to do it multiple times was that usually when we're scared to let go of that attachment, there's this fear that we cannot manifest something better. It's this fear that that's all that there is, you know, and you know, it's this fear of being uncomfortable. Because you know, the comfort zone, don't get us wrong, you know, it's a comfort zone for a reason. You know, we're comfortable there. But to be honest, you know, nothing will ever expand there, nothing will ever grow there. So while it's comfortable, you know, it will eventually become uncomfortable. And it's one of those things where you have to choose: do you want to be uncomfortable where you're at, or do you want to be uncomfortable expanding into something new?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's so good. That is so good. That's called the ebbs and them flows.
Yes, you got to ebb and flow with it.
Got to ebb and flow with it.
Life, but you can control yourself and how you respond to it.
Yes, yes, you can. And what they say, flow or get dragged.
I would say even, you know, when you think of who you are, what you are, it's the lack of definition. It's the fear of, what am I? If I'm not this thing, what am I? What is this? You know, being undefined. What is this? How? If I just be, what am I? If I just be? And this is what I'm working on right now: is be. You're not your mother. You're not your father. You're not your grandparents. You're not anything that any of these people told you you were. Now take away all the things that you've been told that you are, even the definitions you've created for yourself, and now what's left. The biggest thing, you know, I could say, even when it comes to the fear of when you quit smoking, because I said, wow, you know, when I had quit smoking, if I don't smoke, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? If I'm not a smoker, then what am I? If I'm not spending this time smoking, what would I be doing? Or how will I feel if I don't smoke? I know how I feel when I smoke, but what would I feel if I'm not this thing? And this attachment to all these things. Now I could say that I was lucky to not be this person defined by what is your favorite color, what's your favorite car, what's your favorite movie, what's your favorite song, what's your favorite, you know what I mean? Like people spend their whole life defining themselves with this is who I am.
Yeah.
This TV show is my favorite. This movie is my favorite. This car is my favorite. And if I don't have this, then what am I? Because, you know, I even said this to a friend of mine today. I said, well, before there was mansions, what was there? Would you have cared about a mansion if one didn't exist? Would you care about a Porsche if Porsche was never made? What were you before all these things happened, before all these things came about? And we've connected even when it comes to the definition of abundance, because that's, you know, I'm trying to help people with abundance. What is your definition of abundance? What is your definition of lack? Now that's an even better one. What's your definition of lack? Because people will say lack is not having his car, not having his house. What if you don't have arms, legs, you know, even if you don't have arms and legs, but do you have a life? Do you have a way to smile for the rest of your life? Can you have joy without these things? You know, the difference between a person who's sick with cancer, I might be dying, but I could still find joy at the end of my life, even with cancer, versus a person with cancer who's angry about every decision they've ever made in life and everything everybody has ever done to them. Can I let any of this go? Do I have to take with me the pain of my mother, you know, the things that she said or done? Do I have to take that with me tomorrow? Or can I just drop that shit at the door and be like, okay, that happened, but now I'm on to the rest of my life? Oh, well, you know what I'm saying? So, yes, undefine yourself by the things and the people and the incidents. And then what do you have left with you? And that's something that
It's also talking about getting uncomfortable. I like to call it divine comfort in the most uncomfortable way. I mean, we really find ourselves when we're the most uncomfortable and we're growing and expanding. And I look at it as the mystery, right? I talk a lot about living what you know, but it's that mystery you have to live. You have to let yourself dangle into I call it divine comfort, because it could be incredibly uncomfortable, because, you know, we strip away all the labeling, all of it, but it's divine. And that's where you sit in the absolute cradle, right, of comfort. But it's just taking away that uncomfortable label of it. And the divine is found there.
Oh, yes. She said it right there, because it's called the unknown. I don't know if you, sometimes I talk about the unknown and a lot of things that I post, and people have to realize that comfort is the grave, but the unknown is where you find the paradise, is where you find stability, is where you find the abundance. Because once you go into those unknown places, you start, you know, releasing things that no longer serve you, things that don't make you not feel good. You know, you start to kind of step away from that. And you start stepping more into what feels good, even though it's in the unknown. You got to go through that uncomfortable place, those uncomfortable places, to find the comfortable places.
You have to look at it like it's an adventure.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a big adventure. You have to take away the seriousness of it, of the unknown, and know that you're always protected and you're always connected to source, and that, you know, God has got your back at all times, because you're a co-creator in your life with God. So, you know, a lot of it has to do with just releasing the attachments of what's important, and know the only thing that's important is your connection with God, because from that you've created all this anyway. So from that you'll create everything else that's in front of you. Right. And like, this whole year has been a wonderful lesson for everybody about releasing attachments, because what people had planned for this year totally blew up in their face, and all the props were removed, and everybody had to find a new foundation to stand on, right? Yeah. And what was that? It's faith, right? One of the things is faith. It's your belief, you know, in who you are, who you really are in your God self. So yeah, what else do you have? What else is real? What else do you take with you? What yeah, the only thing that's really real is what you have with God. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Who are you when no one's looking, when no one's there? And are you okay with being alone with yourself?
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. I've learned to really like being alone. I think a lot of us have learned to be alone.
I know. Right? Yeah. And you know, honestly, for some people, they can say, you know, we gotta relate, because we are human beings still. You know, we love that connection to source so much, we get lost in it. And yes, I love to be lost in it, because it's the most comfortable, loving place to be. But at the same time, I have to balance that with my humanity and say, yes, I am a mother, that I have to tend to my children. Yes, I am a wife, but I'm not yet. Hey, babe, whenever you're ready. But, you know, if I were in that position where I am a wife, I still have to balance my divinity, my humanity. I can't neglect my husband.
No.
I shouldn't, because that wouldn't be godly. I shouldn't neglect my children, because that wouldn't be godly. So I have to balance that divinity and being lost in the unknown, and finding that love and safety and that comfort in just the source of all creation, I have to realize that, yes, this is my creation as well. So I got to make sure that this is right at the same time.
Yeah, this year was a lot of that, because for many years I focused so much on the light, and I always talked about, you know, in my search, it's that whatever you focus on expands, wherever you put your attention, you know, you're going to get more of that. So, but we had no choice this year, and so much was shown. But I'm glad I had those years. I feel like I have this, you know, perfect little deal worked out with the universe where the timing is just right for me, because I wouldn't have wanted to know things I now know. I wouldn't have wanted to live with that. I'm very much about stepping into what you know, and I was protected from knowing certain things that have been shown to me this year. It's like a massive download in March, and it's been fun to have this time and be ready to take that in and bring love and light with that. And it's been so great to be able to say, it's been hard at times, but you have to always remember and bring yourself back to, I know a loving universe. I know how to co-create. I know, you know, it doesn't matter what it looks like, what I'm seeing, what I'm learning about. It's fun to figure all that out, but it's just to constantly pull yourself back and remember, I know I know a loving universe that works well with me and gives me whatever I can focus on, and the co-creation together is just, there's nothing like it. So, but it's, you know, I was ready now to incorporate a lot of the dark stuff and to bring love to that too, because my authenticity is such a gift to me. I worked really hard for it, you know, kind of growing up being taught to like people please and to just, you know, say what people want to hear, what, you know, and that just, I had an allergy developed to that over the years. It's just, no, I would rather kind of chew off my tongue than tell a lie or make you feel, you know, I love putting people at ease and making them feel great, but that's just soul crushing, you know? So as those awkward moments, speaking of where you just are yourself, and then there might be an awkward silence, you know, there might be hard for people. People can only see you kind of where they're coming from, right? So this year's been so great, because I developed a real love for humanity too, all that we've endured and all that we're just like bouncing back up from all these crazy things that I was truly not focused on before. So I just see, you know, and I put myself out there to connect more this year with people. I had to find more like-minded, how I've connected, and why I'm sitting here talking to you, beautiful souls. But, you know, now, you know, you never know who's walking by you. I think, you know, Erica said in the beginning about, you just don't know what people know. And it's so fun to connect with the like souls. But this year, thank God, to always come back to the loving universe that we can at any time.
Sometimes when it comes to not knowing, you know, what other people know, you're walking by, every person has a book in them, you know, and sometimes I just want to walk up to a complete stranger who looks very interesting and say, tell me about yourself, tell me your story. You know, I'm just so curious. I was like that as a child too. And I probably did it more as a child, you know, and my innocence, but you know, as you get older, you learn that there's parameters and, you know, things like that. But yeah, we're all very interesting and unique.
Yes, and when you take the time to listen, there's so many things that you can learn, so many things that you can reflect on. Because, you know, when I've encountered people, when I talk to people, and even with my job, I hear so many different stories that just, you know, some of them make my jaw drop, and some of them it's just like, I can't imagine that kind of strength. And I really like to hear it, because one thing it reinforces is the strength of being a human being, the strength of overcoming, and it just really makes you more appreciative of the things that you've gone through as well. But I think the biggest lesson for me with speaking to different people and just learning what they know and just you know, hearing what they've gone through is that, you know, never judge a person for the way that they're displaying their energy within a day, because you have no idea what's feeding into that. And because I used to be guilty of that, you know, see somebody with an ugly attitude and I'm just judging them like they judge me probably. And, you know, I'm just like, oh, why they got to be so ugly, you know? And it's just really made me have to learn how to take a step back and just circulate love and healing to them, rather than taking it personal, because 9 times out of 10, they have dealt with something that they're harboring on the inside and that they're repressing, that's causing them to project that type of ugly energy in the first place.
Yeah, I've never been the type of person that would snap back on people.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and now, if it was some repetitive stuff, and I just got sick and tired of it. And yeah, I was the type of person, don't poke the bear if you don't want to get mauled, right? So don't poke the bear. I was that type of person, and I haven't had to have that sense of defense in a while. But when you think about like people who do it, and you look at them, might have had a bad day at work, or they might have a boss that micromanage the hell out of them. You know what I'm saying? And they don't like that, or just a boss that acts an asshole. Because I've been there before. You know what I mean? In the military, you know how it is, Erica. You come in as a private, you don't know nothing. You better not say nothing. You just got to do what you told. That was that military environment. And of course, being raised in a Black family too, with it, you shut up. You sit down and be quiet. You stay in a child's place. Stuff like that. I have to have compassion even for people who they have attitudes, because I'm like, I grew up looking at it. I was in the military and I saw it all the time. So I'm like, I've seen in my lifetime, chose a lifetime where I would see so much abuse, and with how people are, that you really honestly, you see their pain, you can't even be mad at them. It's kind of like something's going on in there, because I wouldn't just go out and just treat somebody like that in the middle of the street, flip somebody off or something. Now I have when I was frustrated about something. You know what I'm saying? So I still got to have compassion and be like, you know what, Shalimar, you did it before. So have compassion on them, because you would have wanted compassion from somebody that they snapped at you, and you was like, wait a minute, you didn't have to do it like that, So I get you.
Me being a fireside, it took me a while to get to where you were. Like, because I used to be somebody do something, I was popping, like, what you say? So I really had to learn how to like calm that down and center myself first, and then really reflect on it. And I've been practicing at this for so many years now, because these are things that I had to learn, going through therapy and stuff. So I've been practicing these things for so many years now, to where it's, second nature. But, having conversations with my friends and my family who still, haven't ascended to that level of, understanding yet. It makes me laugh when I hear them talk about it, because they sound how I used to sound. Like, nah, there's no excuse to treat people like that. And it is more of, understanding that it's not an excuse. It's the law of the universe. It's the cause and effect. It takes a lot of self-mastery and a lot of self-control to be able to catch yourself and get out of those cycles.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, I think we're on this topic, but I'm going to put it out there officially. So if there was one thing you could let go of, one thing, what would it be? Is this the one thing that you would let go of? Or I'm going to send that out. One thing that you let go of.
I think I'm going to cheat. Am I going to cheat? I think I'm going to cheat. According to what she asked, Erica, I'm fear.
Yeah.
That's one thing, fear.
The one thing I would release right now, I would have to say, is the fear. That's the fear and the need for outcomes. That's something that I still struggle with.
But that's kind of rooted in fear, though.
Well, that's true.
That's a control thing.
Controlling the outcome.
It does root to a control thing, because it's more like I've always been that person when I create these fantasies in my head, and it's like I expect to see something. And so a lot of what I've been tackling this year is about learning how to stay passionate with the work without seeing a particular outcome and trusting the process that you're going through. And I'm not perfect, so I still struggle with that sometimes. Like I still have my feet, and I'm talking to spirit, and I'm like, I know y'all here, but it's something that I really like. I'm hoping that in 2021 is just eliminated.
Yes.
And Stacy, because I saw you edging up.
Well, fear, it's funny, fear was driving me kind of when I was younger, experienced a lot of fear, and it was always intriguing to me. It's the crippling thing. And then you try to understand what it is. And I had a lot of it for good reason as a young person. And then when that kind of all goes away and you don't have a rational reason to be living in fear, then and those thoughts are still there. You kind of have to look, you realize, oh, it's me creating those thoughts. And you spend a lot of time working with those thoughts and where do they come from and why do I give them attention? But the fear is just, I hadn't experienced it in so long. I worked with it quite a bit. I think once you realize, they say love is always the answer. So when you take away that, when you realize the opposite of love is not hate, it's fear, then you realize, as long as you're dwelling in a state of love, and then what that means expands for you over time and as you work with it. But this year definitely brought up new challenges with it that we all have to face. I don't love being told what to do. I don't love all the restrictions. I don't love I told you I developed that allergy to lies and not being told the truth and things like that, not speaking the truth always. So I guess there's just letting go, and I've been having to kind of step into a new letting it be this year too, because there's so much we can't control, which there always is. But I've done a great job with like our own little reality bubble and designing our life where we're not not that much change. Haven't you guys found that this year all these things became obvious, like, because I've listened to that inner guidance over the years, for the last 10 years, some of the things I've been doing, the things I didn't need to know why. I just knew that, or like you thought you knew why you were doing things. But this year has become more clear, like as the veil lifts, of why
2020.
It's so cool, because it's like constantly the universe has where you go, oh, that's what, and I thought I was doing it for this, and that's a really great reason why I did it. But then you get hit over the head with, boy, there were some serious other reasons I was doing that, or led towards that. And it's such a beautiful universe, hug thing. But it's been a new embrace or a new, relationship with fear this year that we all have had to face, as we are challenged with freedom and stuff like that. So, and there's, just restrictions and things and things that,
to be told what to do.
Yeah.
More than
So
that.
just letting that go and living with it.
I mean, I don't know how you take it, but my fear, we had to do homeschool. And then does school even matter? Like, I'm just to the point where for my kids, or for my kid, one, do I even care about grades anymore? Because we can get so caught up in I want you to be successful. I want you to pass or fail. And I've been dealing with that for the last couple of years. Like, your impression of what you want is not necessarily what's going to happen. I have to let go of the fact that, maybe he might repeat a grade or, might not meet whatever this fluky standard is of learning, and I say with learning, and I'm telling you, I kept my son home for a certain amount of time. And what I found most profound was you didn't know where to put a stamp on an envelope or the sending and receiving address. To me, that was more important than any of the things you were learning at school. You don't even know how to mail a letter, and you're in the 8th grade. So, where I could be teaching my kid at home some stuff that's way more practical and more important in day-to-day life, because if you look back 100 years, if I was a blacksmith, my son would be a blacksmith. If I made sheets, would make sheets. If I was making candles, my son would make it. You know what I'm saying? So letting go of all what you think is success. What is success?
That right there, that right there is a challenging mindset because I homeschool my kids as well. I've been homeschooling since 2016, and I was a straight A student when I was a kid, and there was always this expectation put on me about what I was supposed to be. Like even now when my family looks at me, they're like, "You're doing this, and you could have been this and that," and I'm just like, "Ugh." But I found myself doing that to my kids, and I found myself in that cycle doing it to me with my entrepreneurship journey, because I've been on this journey about the same amount of time that I've been homeschooling. And I, especially in 2020, there's been a lot of times where spirit has had to pull me back and, ask me, what are you defining success as? Because from where they can see, I've overcome obstacles. I'm not in the same place. I've been growing. So how is that unsuccessful? And and so, I even find myself trying to teach that with my kids and incorporate it in their learning. And it is challenging because you find yourself, you're battling between 5D thoughts and consciousness and then 3D thoughts and consciousness. And sometimes it's just like a tug of war between the two.
Yeah,
And
that polarity, huh?
like everybody just no school today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a few kids and we don't do school. I said, you guys have been going to school since you were born. I've been working since before you were born. We just took this year off. We were just like, I brought some little
I'm
work.
surprised more people can do that. The people that are just adhering to all the things you have to do with this new routine. I'm so surprised that people didn't just say no.
Yeah, I said no.
We already were off doing our way off own thing, and everything I had planned. Yeah, we're just doing what feels right day by day. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I do give them assignments though. Like we have workbooks. We might not do anything out of them, but I said try to write a story. Try to have the wheels turn in a little imagination and draw something, whatever you want. I don't care. It could be Mary had a little lamb.
Well, they have souls to take care of. Taking care of their own souls is so important right now, and they've had to wake up so much this year. And so I have a 15-year-old and 13-year-old son, 15-year-old daughter, 13-year-old son, and my daughter's done like a anonymous blog of her own, kind of sharing and the creativity that's flowing through her and like what all her soul's going through. And she gets a lot of time for it because it's needed, and my son, he knows he wants to break certain habits of looking at, we call, 3D stuff that's like programming, break out of a lot of the programming stuff, but then you have to replace the habits with new good ones. So like looking in places that he just wrote an article about creating your own reality bubble and what you put in it. And his thing is like joy, he wants to spread joy. And so like just letting them find ways to learn that aren't, I didn't realize, we were already doing it. I had a wonderful woman. I was kind of always meeting the right people at the right time. And a woman when they were tiny that we turned schoolwork into told me, you need to go off on your own. You need to figure out, with all the standard stuff changing and kind of, because we were always having her look at the work that was meant to be turned in and then what we were actually doing. Mm-hmm. And they never matched up. And she was so lovely. She would take the time to do that. But I wouldn't have on my own just decided you need to go out and incorporate your own thing and just do your own thing. But I got the nudge and I listened, and I'm so glad because I feel for people trying to adjust to too many things this year. It's too much. And I have friends that I don't think they don't want to hear from me because they didn't, they sort of lost touch with me when I switched to homeschool many years ago. And now they're trying to find it. I just can't imagine right now, on top of all the other things that are happening, to be told how to, to figure all that and force your kids into this new other thing. I just my heart breaks for people. I saw what you said. You said some stuff today about your dream last night and education and stuff. And I was like cheering you on because you know, it is going to be exciting to see. I don't share a lot about the homeschool journey and stuff because I feel like until they're like 18, you're just like keeping them safe and protected and, you know, getting us through. So I don't, but I feel like in the future, I really will to encourage people, and very near future. I think that's part of my journey is to figure out, you know, I mean, we've seen what indoctrination does this year. We've seen it and it's bad. And I had no idea. I just knew I wasn't going to walk my these little souls into that, you know, they were like wrung out at the end of the day. They were, you know, or just my other son never went, but my daughter made it to half of first grade. And it just like made no sense to me. And then I wanted to be there, but you weren't spending any time with them. And so I just followed our own journey. I had no idea, but this year seeing the indoctrination and what has happened in the school, you know, I really had no idea. And that's what I mean about my like perfect little timing scenario, because then you just like feel so hugged and taken care of and so glad you listened. And that's why I'm so passionate about, you know, how the universe does with the whisper and then the louder, and then you get knocked over the head eventually. So it's happening to a lot of people. Say that again?
I said, that ain't fun.
No, that's not fun. Yeah. And it feels like a lot of people are dealing with that, you know, and you just want to help them. And I can't imagine trying to make up for a lost time. I mean, I had to make up for lost time on a lot of truth stuff and darkness and all that, you know, but thank God I had sort of set things up to do that. And I just don't know how people, I know they're kind of lost, and I'm always transmuting, like feeling that you can feel it. So I spend a lot of time doing that. And so do my kids, you know, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You're right. The preparation over time.
Yeah.
You know, when I was working, I know here it is. I'll spend an hour driving. So I got to drop you off early. I spend an hour driving, and I go to work for 8.5 hours. And then I spend an hour driving back, and then I pick you up. And then by the time I pick you up, I'm so exhausted, I actually would pass out. And wake up around 8:30, 9 o'clock to tell my son to go to bed. He's already ate something, you know, like here we are. And a lot of people are stuck in this is most of your kids' time is spent being raised by somebody else. Yeah. And I just got beyond physically that I ended up medically retired, and yay, that was a blessing. And then he got in some trouble in school. So I ended up having to do some time with him at home, and then doing a class at home. And then right when he goes back to school after being kicked out, the COVID comes and you're out of school anyway. And he was like, this is funny. Why have we been preparing this for 2.5 years now? We've been coming
so you're ready, yeah.
And yeah, you're right. And if I had to just do that all at once, you know, then boom, it would have been much more difficult. And
that's how blessings come in all states, right? I mean,
I thank God for that. And I was thinking, he said, well, my COVID life is just like my regular life. That's what he said.
That's great.
Really nothing changed for me with COVID except the fact that I used the grocery delivery a lot more. That's the only thing.
And amen for that.
Okay.
Amazon.
Before.
It was hard in March when everyone else started using it. I was like so annoyed at first because I've been using it for years, but that was hard. But I actually started going to grocery stores more than I had in years back.
Oh, have you?
No, not anymore until the mask thing. And then
definitely hard to even want to walk in the store when you have to put on a mask.
No, so I stopped. Yeah, I can't.
I'd rather order.
So yeah, that's why I order. I just can't. You know, and I respect everybody's, you know, belief on the mask mandate, but for me, and then the fact that I have a heart
condition like this,
yeah, you know, it's just like if I have to wear it, I would rather just order it to be delivered.
Yeah.
I can't. I have an extreme. It brings up just too much soul crushing. I can't even I can't even exist for a second. My heart goes out to people that have no choice. I mean, I
Ooh,
cry, I weep
that's a
over it, and that spend all day.
hours.
I don't know how, because 10 seconds, then I
They have
cannot.
to work and wear it for 8 hours. I
Oh
think
my God.
for kids though, for kids going to school, this is to them like being Spider-Man. This is not a big deal to them. And
Yeah.
remember, I don't know if you, Salome, if you ever had to wear mop gear and oh yeah, because we used to go to the gas chamber, you know,
Yeah.
Oh wow.
and you had to wear mop gear and things like that.
They
And
they make you go to the gas chamber without the mask on.
yeah,
And you have to succumb to whatever biological chemical that they are pushing at you.
Oh,
Wow.
see, and that's why
You
I
gotta,
couldn't
and
do
you
it.
have to answer questions that they're asking you. They take off your mask, they pop that C4, the whole room is smoked up, full of C4 gas.
you see those arms, right?
Take off your gas mask. That shit is burning all in your eyes, in your nose, in your every spot on your head that has an opening in your ears. Can't even talk. It's like, is that bad?
Oh,
We're
So
living,
when somebody tells me I gotta wear a mask
we're a little bit
for a
different.
little cold, I'm like, I'm good.
Because I
yeah.
had to sleep in a lightning area, like run 2 miles to go sleep on some gravel in a lightning
Yeah.
area, and then dig your own foxhole so you can sleep in it with all these mosquitoes, and then have somebody throw gas on you. So it's a little bit. It's,
Oh my
but
God.
it's fun though.
It was. It was.
It's freaking fun.
I would do it again. I would do it again.
Well, it's like a badge though, because when you get
Oh,
like, yeah,
geez. It really forged the steel, didn't it?
Yeah.
It forged
Yeah.
the steel.
I'm telling
It
you, I
made
could fall
you,
asleep
I mean,
anywhere.
what you're doing now is nothing compared to what they put you through.
Yeah.
You really showed yourself who you could, what you were and
Yeah.
what you were capable of.
Yeah.
I never
When
had
I
to go
got
through
tired of that
anything
junk,
like
I said,
that.
that's
I can
enough.
only, I don't envy you, that's for sure. And my kids have been
Right?
grown for 20 years, so
Like,
I'm not going through any of this stuff that you guys are.
Yeah.
I just hold you in on the highest pedestal that you
Oh,
guys have
thank
figured this
you.
out.
you know,
And that
crazy.
oh my gosh, jeez. My life
Thank
is
you.
a piece of cake compared to you guys. That's why I'm just kicked back going, oh my God.
Yeah, she look a little relaxed over there. She look relaxed.
Oh my
I would say
God.
this though, Shalom. One thing that I did appreciate too is when you wear your uniform in the airport or in public and people stop to say thank you for your service. That is the most, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, oh my God, thank you. Like, I got to
Well.
travel the world because of that. Belgium, Budapest, Prague, Vincenza, Italy, and all that stuff like that. So
I made a lot of money as a college student because of that.
yeah.
I was a
You know what
professional
I mean?
student.
I take it as a blessing. A lot of people say bad things, but I take it as a blessing. So
Yeah.
it's all
I have to give a bit of a part of my story about being a veteran. A lot of since Trump has taken office, a lot of programs, they look out for veterans. A lot of programs look out for veterans. And during my Dark Night of the Soul, well, right before my Dark Night of the Soul, probably about 3 or 4 months before I really started that Dark Night of the Soul, Spirit told me I had to quit my job with all my kids, and there's 5 of them, and trust. And I trusted, and wasn't no money coming in for months. 5 months wasn't no cash flowing in my house for 5 months, except for food stamps. We got food stamps. We had about $600 or $700 a month in food stamps. There was no cash coming in. I was not really, and this is I'm not talking about them in a bad way, but my ex-husbands, they didn't help me financially. We didn't have anything. And I was scared out of my mind because I said, I'm going to be homeless. What am I going to do with my children, Spirit? I do not have a job. What am I supposed to do? Spirit said, you're supposed to just trust me. Just trust me. And there was this organization that helped veterans from homelessness, prevent homelessness. And they came through after my car got repoed. They came through and they paid for my rent, back rent. They caught me up them 5 months, $6,000. I had some time to breathe and continue to work on my fear around money. And I was like, okay, I gotta get a job. I gotta think of something to do. Spirit said, back down a rabbit hole you go. No, you're not getting a job. You're going to sit, you are going to heal, you are going to trust. Because you have this fear around surviving and money and not having. We grew up in struggle because I grew up poor. My mother didn't have money. When I was able to finally take care of myself and my family, we had money constantly. I was married twice. They all military people. We had money. We had safety and security and comfort. And then I have my awakening and I can't have that comfort anymore because I have a fear around not having money to take care of myself, to take care of my children. And I went down a rabbit hole again. Had to go through the fear, looking out the window, seeing if this marshal was gonna come serve me, because I knew they was gonna put me out the second time. They was gonna put me out the second time. After they was like, Miss Thomas, you ain't paid your rent. I was like, I understand. I'm really just waiting to see on what happens for some financial things, and scared. And then I just stopped getting scared. I said, I'm tired of being scared of not having any money to take care of my family. Because if you did it for me once, Spirit, with this situation, when you came through with them $6,000 when I needed, I know you do it for me again. I said, because I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of them, fearing that they're going to come knocking on the door asking for the rent. I got put out. But it seemed like the moment I got put out, there was already another agency ready to step in to pay my rent. They did not accept the rent. My apartment did not accept the rent. They said, because you've already got, we've already been through this whole eviction process with you. We cannot accept that money. They turned down another $5,000.
Whoa.
But this company said, well, we're not giving them the money if they don't take you. We're going to put you up for your family until we find you somewhere to live. So me and my kids have been living in the hotel for about 5 months now. I haven't had to worry about it. Spirit said, see, I'm taking care of you. Every now and moment, you are taken care of. We got food on the table. Then we started getting unemployment. I got unemployment, you guys, and I didn't even work. I was like, I didn't work. I got approved for unemployment and I didn't even work it. Didn't work enough to get it. And they were giving like the extra $100 a week for the COVID. This put me in position to buy a car. And then when I got tired of paying the car payment, because I was just like, I'm not able to do all the things I want to do for my family, I got rid of it too. I was like, you know what? I'm not carrying nothing else. I said, God, higher self, I'm not carrying nothing. I don't want to carry anything else at this point. Because I told my ex-boyfriend, I said, let some ET disclosure come out officially. I ain't paying another deal, right? I was just messing around with my words. Yeah, I don't have no bills. I don't have nothing major, my phone bills.
You're on
internet.
vacation.
Yes. It's like people have that fear, and I see it, and I'm like, the universe will catch you every single time. It's going to be scary. It's going to be scary. You're not going to know, but the universe is going to catch you every single time. Today, I had got my unemployment. I said, I'm not going to worry about investing any of it. Me and my kids are going to have fun. I'm not meditating today. Me and the kids are going to go to Legoland, and some things happen, and my little money dwindled down to maybe like 100 and something. And I was like, oh, I got something else I got to do, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, stop, brain. Stop trying to figure things out. Shut it up. You are in abundance always.
Right.
You are lacking nothing. that every time you spend some money, the universe is going to return it to you 100-fold. Spirit told me that yesterday, and I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but I ain't had that much money, but Spirit's like, help somebody, help another family, because right now you don't got no bills, but you got something that you can help somebody that may not be in the situation you're in energetically to be able to live like you're living right now.
Right.
So I offered help to other people. And the universe always brings it back around. Because today I was, like I said, I was taking my kids to Legoland. The money was looking a little tight. Spirit said, ask their father. Even though he and I went through a tumultuous marriage, and as I've changed, as I've raised my vibration, the way he responds to me and the way he helps me, it's like on a whole nother level, vibrational level. It's like the universe allows him to work hard, so I don't have to. I said, Alex, yeah, me and the kids are going to go to Legoland, and I don't have a car, so we got to take an Uber, and the Uber is about $25 one way. I said, can you send me $50 so we can get there and back? I already bought the tickets, and we'll be fine with the food. I said, all I need is $50. It was like, yeah, Nana, I'll send you $50. No, I'll send you $150. I got it, and you guys go ahead and have fun. I was like, right back. And this was yesterday that I was able to pour into somebody who maybe didn't have no gas money to get to work. Or they might have needed a couple dollars to get some groceries until the end of the week or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't get paid until the end of the week. Because I understand that kind of struggle and I can empathize with that kind of struggle, universe is the fear that was in me to ever have to live that way is going away slowly, but it is going away. And I point to somebody else, and the universe turns it right back around and pours it right back into. That's why I say I'm grateful for letting that fear go. Because then you see it just comes from all directions. And I got my affirmations in my bathroom stuck on the wall. Money comes to me from all directions because it is my birthright. Simply because I exist on this fucking planet. And I am a child of the universe.
God.
Yes.
Yes, you are. I
Simply
call it the
because
law
I
of the
exist.
open palm too. The law of the open palm. Because if
Yes.
you're doing this, you can't receive. But if you're doing this and you have faith and you trust, it will get filled. And it won't go through either. Because if you do this, it seeps through and it can't come in. And then if you just do this and you just allow and just don't take things so seriously and just enjoy each moment and each adventure. And you know, there's going to be some rough things we work through, but it makes it much easier to get through it faster. Because the more we worry about it, the longer it lasts. Because we're not getting the lesson. It's only there for the lesson.
Right.
Exactly.
So
and worry is not going to make anything come any faster.
Yeah.
One of the things that helped me kind of get through some stuff was through my dark night of the soul, through that really, really, really deep shadow work. And I went through that for about 5 or 6 months. Yeah, I cried every day, all day. It was like I was in such deep depression, but every time I cried it out, and every time, because I told Spirit, I said, I'm jumping off this cliff. I'm jumping. I'm not stopping. I'm keeping going, because I said I was tired of the way that my life was going. And I said I didn't want to live like that anymore. And my baby girl, she's 9. She would be listening to songs like movies like Frozen, and what was the other song, Sydney? Oh, what's that other show called with Over the Moon, and when they were dancing, all of the animals, and she sings that song, don't you worry about a thing. What's that called? Dance or sing that song. Sing. Oh my goodness.
I love that movie.
Yes. Everybody got something, but don't you worry about a thing, mama. That song. Oh my gosh. Spirit knows I needed that. Spirit knows that song from Elsa, Into the Unknown. I was sitting there crying. I was so scared. I was like, I don't know what's out there. But that gave me so much courage. it's just beautiful how spirit just uses everything in your life to reaffirm that you're not alone, you know. And I was an Uber driver and I wasn't making any money, but I was trying to raise my vibration. And I would listen to those songs in the car, and all of my passengers would have to listen to it too. And I said, hey, I'm going through something. This is helping me get through it. They was like, hey man, we love it. We love it. And I was like, and I would have it on repeat. But I had to do that because I had to break a lot of mental bondage that I had going on. There was a lot of mental bondage from generations of instability and from our parents, from our great-grandparents. We carry in our physical form about 7 generations worth of trauma. It can go back 7 generations.
Go back even more than that.
Yeah. Just imagine in that little bit how much of a burden that can be, because we are like those who we're breaking those cycles, you know, and we're kind of like the burden bearers.
And you know what else you're doing? When you do break that cycle, you're breaking it for everybody in your ancestral line.
Yeah.
That you're everyone that carried that in your ancestral line, you're releasing that.
Yep. It's a heavy load. It's a heavy load. But
but you've been placed in a time and a place that you can do it. You have all the tools.
Yes.
You have the freedom to do this. Where in the past, women weren't that powerful. I mean, we had very few choices in life. So we're carrying that from our ancestors and our previous lifetimes as well in our DNA. And they're called fractals. These little fractals, like little pockets that surround the DNA. And as we work through that old situation that we've been carrying, even carrying it for our ancestors, as we work through it and release it, you know, we are freeing ourselves and our ancestors. But if we take on that habit again, like if we take on a certain habit that we've just released and we start living that again, it starts to come back. So we have to remember, you know, like write ourselves notes, you know, of our experiences, where we've been, and always appreciate what we've accomplished for ourselves in the smallest detail, even the smallest detail, just to really appreciate it. And remember how important it is to stay on your path.
Yes.
That you've released that, and that's one less thing you have to do unless you revert back to it.
No, we don't like those. No, those don't feel good.
No, because we know the difference.
Oh yeah.
We do. Our higher selves knows the difference when we've regressed and like, dang, I don't want to return to that again. And I do think that it makes it a little bit easier to get through it the next time.
Yeah, it does.
You know?
Absolutely does.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a thing that's changed for the military. And I noticed another thing that's changed for me too, that has helped bring me forward to this, is now in 2006. When I was in the military, I had back pain. The first thing that they prescribed me was tramadol off the rip. And if you know anything about tramadol is a synthetic opiate. So that's pretty heavy. You know, I carried that with me, and thank God for the birth of my son, that kind of forced me to stop taking it. And then there was like the death of Michael Jackson, the death of Heath Ledger, and you seeing how prescription medication has affected people. Well, now for veterans, they allow us to now go to acupuncture, to chiropractic, like that. And, you know, all these pill mills have been set down. So everything that you do, Stacy, Shalom, Victoria, and Ria, these are the things that can help heal people who've been in the past addicted to pain medication, and especially to veterans now. Talk about this healing. You know, talk, what have you seen as the change? Because for me, personally, when I saw Heath Ledger die, that opened my eyes to be like, you know what, these pills are nothing to play with, and I don't want to die. And I've heard of what is called a death cocktail, because as you go get your prescriptions back in the day, they add more and more. There's medicine for the liver, medicine for the heart, medicine for the, you know, and it gets to be pretty much a cocktail, you know. And me personally, as a, you know, a mobile medic in the past for the life insurance companies, I'd go out and I'd go to people's homes, and they break out this basket of pills, and I'm looking like, oh my God, like, you know, one lady, she couldn't even tell you what she took and how many. Her daughter would come and do them, or somebody would come and put them in the little containers ahead of time. And so I was seeing this type of thing. I also saw two people that I knew, both of them were vegan. Both of them had hyperactive thyroids from different towns. They met in college, and I'm like, how do these people end up with both hyperthyroidism? A lot of ladies, I felt like I could have done my own study too with how many women had had hysterectomies. I don't know if it was something that could have been stopped medically, or was it a part, you know, there's a lot of theories on why people 30 to 40 are having hysterectomies. And I think, you
Well,
know,
some of them aren't called for. They say, oh, you got a cyst over there. We're just going to go and take out the cyst. Next thing you know, they've taken everything out. That happened to my sister.
there's this shift, a change going on, and I thank God for that, this change in what people are doing in with their bodies medically. Because I won't say with the medical field, but it's been a shift. Partly, you know, part of what we see with the veterans, that's Trump has done that, but there's a shift away from these pill mills, away from, you know, another thing that I saw too, I'll put this in there, a lot of elderly people allow themselves to have surgeries over and over, almost as if they're addicted to surgery, because they exchange the attention and the caress of the doctor. That attention, they allow them to have surgeries. They allow them to cut on them. And maybe having 1, 2, 3 procedures a year. They normally, you don't really need all these procedures, but they're being suggested. Why? Because this what people don't realize about America is this is a money-making industry. Medicine is money. Vaccines are money. You know, pills are money. It's not necessarily that these things are the best thing for you, but this is a money-making industry. So you have to pull back as an individual and start to understand that, hey, just because the doctor said it doesn't mean that that's necessarily the best thing for me. This is a business. The doctor is in business. So what would you say, you know, I'll say, Ria, what have you seen when it comes to prescriptions, medications, and surgeries that you've been able to help and heal?
Well, I have my own story with that actually, because for one, I used to be a substance abuser. I used drugs heavily when I was younger, in my 18, 19, early 20s, up until about the time I got pregnant. And then even after I got pregnant, and after I had my child, I even still kind of leaned on the substances a little bit. I was the type where I walked into work with, before leaving the house, I was taking a shot of alcohol, sometimes two. I would, have my muscle relaxer. I would smoke my blunts. And it seemed like all day long I was under the influence of something. And then I really had to go to the root of why I was leaning on that stuff. And I found that I was running a lot. I was running from my thoughts. I was running from the fact that I couldn't really look at myself in the mirror. Um, I just didn't know who I was anymore. Matter of fact, I can say that I never knew who I was. And this is a story that I come across often with my clients as well. The ones who I find who lean on the painkillers, who lean on the substances to feel better. It's because they're trying to run from the fact that they're not happy with something. There's something that they're unfulfilled in. And it really takes, for one, it really does get to that point. And I wish that it didn't have to, but it's kind of like human nature. We have to get to this point to where we are so uncomfortable with where we're at right now that we have no choice but to move. And is really no one blueprint to healing. There's tons of techniques that we teach out there. I, for one, I lean on CBT and REBT and mindfulness because those were things that I was trained in while I was in school to be a life coach. And one thing that I've just found, even for myself, is that it takes a certain point of having mental alchemy, mental willpower, strength. That would be what I find to be the difference between people who overcome the substance abuse versus the people who it's more of a desire that drives. And when it comes to the medical procedures, I'll be very vulnerable about a story here because it's something that I'm still actively working through with my womb healing. I In 2016, which I do find kind of funny that this was the same year that I had my mental breakdown. This was the same year where I decided that I had to quit my job. And, I pulled my kids out of public school and I started homeschooling. But a few months before I went through that, I wasn't happy with motherhood because I was a single mother. I had a lot of struggles. And so I went to my doctor concerned about not having more kids. And, he had convinced me that, well, from your medical record, we told you that you wasn't supposed to have any more kids and da da da. So they was like, we wouldn't suggest you going back under the knife because I've had 2 C-sections. But he suggested this device called eSure, and it was supposed to be a permanent tubal ligation that was done by putting nickel screws basically and stuffing it into your fallopian tube. And they had convinced me that it was a safe procedure and I wouldn't barely feel anything. All of that was a lie. For one, I felt every bit of the procedure, which was very painful. I mean, I was ripping up stress balls, and they wouldn't give me anything else during the procedure. And then after that, I basically had to wait for scar tissue to form around it for it to really take effect. And so the thing about the eSure is you can't remove it. And it's actually not sold anymore because of how many complications it causes women. It's punctures within women's uteruses. There's women who still getting pregnant while having it, but there is the risk of hurting your unborn child because there is a metal piece just floating around inside of you. And it played heavily on me mentally for a while because for one, I wasn't truly ready to close off my womb that way. And then for two, the procedure was traumatic within itself to where, I didn't even want to have sex for like 6 months afterwards. And so it was one of those things where I'm still working on healing it. And what I've really had to work on is trusting my own instincts, because when he was talking to me, I had to sit back and realize where I went against what my gut was trying to tell me because I was still in the mind frame that somebody else knew better than me.
Wow.
And I had And when I really work with women, because I wouldn't call myself an advocate because it's not something I do full time. But when I have worked with women who are dealing with medical issues, and I always advocate, how does it feel to your spirit? Have
Mhm.
you tried other alternatives? You know, like, don't let one person be the dictator of your health. Because at the end of the day, when you relinquish that power and there's consequences, that doctor gets to go home while you're the one who's suffering.
Well, also do your research and find out what other, alternatives you have. Like when I had my tube ligation, it was in 1985, and I'd already had 3 children, and my second one was born in 82. So I decided, well, I'm a single mother now, and I do not need any more kids because I'm barely able to take care of these 3. So they just did the cutting of the tubes, and they tied them. I didn't have any screws. I've heard some horror stories of what other women have gone through. One lady I was talking to, she said her doctor hung her upside down, okay, and then slit open her stomach and did that, and then did all that other stuff. And she was like, she got infected. She got, all these things. I'm like,
Wow.
what? You got to do your homework, and who's going to touch your body, and screws. Why screws? Did you want to undo it sometime and have children? What was that about?
See, and I did address that, but the thing was, I was supposed to have a tubal the way that you did, and
Yeah.
I ended up going into labor like 4 weeks early than what I was
Oh.
supposed to. And so I wasn't even near my doctor, and so
Oh.
I had to go to a completely different hospital. And so because they didn't have my consent forms and I was in the middle of surgery, they didn't do the tubal during the procedure like they were
Oh.
supposed to. And so when I went back to the doctor, they was like, I told him I was like, I'm really not comfortable with the knife because I was still scarred. And he just made it seem like it was the next best thing smoking. And after I did the research and I brought it to him, he even, I don't know where he got this paperwork from, but he was showing me statistics from his doctor's office and telling me how he's never had any complaints. And so I felt really safe with him. Exactly.
They're pushy, and they're very pushy.
That was my lesson on learning about relinquishing my health to be led and dictated by somebody else other than me, other than my higher self.
Right.
Wow,
Sometimes we have to learn the hard way.
yeah.
So there's this thing called consent. Anybody want to speak on consent? Because there's universal laws in place here, not just at the hospital, but there's universal laws in place here when it comes to consent.
Where your intention goes, your energy flows. And we live in a structured, we live within a matrix because we have the matrix within us. Let me just say that. We're not victims of our lives. Of course, we know that we created our life to trigger us to where we would awaken out of this illusion, this amnesia, right? The forgetfulness that we were born in. And, so I try not to blame anybody for, what we chosen, but yeah, we were born into sin, right? Into this matrix that will cause us to forget, and our power will not belong to us for a very long time. We didn't know we had power. We didn't know who we were. Like you said, Rhea, we don't even know who we are. So we have to low crawl our way, stumble upon thorns, get stuck, get bruised, and in whichever way it looked in our lives to get us to that place where we said, enough is a fucking enough. What's going on, what's happening around me don't feel good, and it needs a change. I got my tubes tied, and I had bad cramps. I got what you call the ablation, endometrial ablation, where I don't shed. And all because I just didn't want to have no more kids. Because I had enough kids and I was like, I don't have enough money. So all of that came out of from some fear of not having some money. That choice that I had made. When I really think about why I had got that done or why that happened to me, it's because I had some level of fear about having more kids because I didn't feel like I had enough money to take care of another child. And so that's why I made that choice, you know, in a system that stacks things against you to teach you lessons, of course. You know, I don't want to even blame the darkest energies of this world because they all belong to God, right? They're here to teach us the attributes of God that are more dark don't feel good. And the attributes of being a God on the light side make you feel a whole lot better. Which side do you want? What side do you want?
Well, I will say when it comes to consent is that, and it has something to do with what I downloaded today, but it said that you have to let people make a choice even when they're unaware that they're making a choice. And so my biggest thing about consent, and this is something that I put heavily in my programs, understanding the reasons on why you're consenting, the reasons on why you're operating. That has been my biggest pitfall in life, is not being mindful and conscious of why, the why. And you know, my spirit team, they just put me through this like 2 months ago. I kept asking them a question, and the only thing they would ever ask me is, the only thing they would ever answer back is why. And I would get so frustrated with them, and I'm like, look, spirit, I'm asking a direct question, and all you're asking me is why. But finally, they was like, the why is, it determines your foundation. It determines whether that foundation is solid or whether it's going to crumble. Because when you don't understand the why, you just do things out of autopilot. And when it's not in alignment, you will eventually find out when it's not in alignment, that tower moment is going to be a beast. And then you're going to be forced to go back and address your why.
Well, I think it's great, you guys, and consent, there's a lot to talk about there, but going back to some of the health stuff that you guys have covered, it's funny on this divine, feminine, that we ended up talking about some of the things that we were in the womb, especially, and just all the disempowerment around our bodies, that I read in the beginning of the year, I read some of Barbara Marciniak's work, all Palladian downloads, just beautiful, and had been told the most beautiful things about, that time of the month for us, and that, all these things I'd never been taught, certainly not taught here. And, that there is an agenda at disempowering us in that way. And I had no idea until this year, but these stories, I think you guys are wise in saying sometimes you learn the hard way, right? But the medical thing for me was the big one. And I lost my sister to drugs. She died early a few years back, and then I have another very close family member that prescription medication has just taken this person from us, all given by a doctor, right? And people just trusting blindly, and we're in such a time when we're going to have to ask ourselves why we do that. And we're really in the crux of it right now. You could see the build up, you could see it coming, but people have stayed home this year and had better health, so, and not because they're not catching something else, but because they're not getting maybe the advice or the procedures or the added care, right? That it isn't the care industry. And then when you go down the rabbit hole, I went all the way down this year. So I was just, again, I was listening to the voice and led towards natural things. One thing I found huge this year was sound. I didn't know, I should have known, because I've always been an empath and very sensitive, but I got sound bowls earlier in the year and I added that to my meditation, and the difference is like, and I'm all about frequency and energy, and I could read, from the time I was tiny, I'd read the guy's energy in the back corner of a large auditorium, it's just the way it is. And so but that takes a toll, right? So I learned a lot this year. I was just forced to, and it took everything to the next level. And then I did get a little device recently called Healy, and it does like a sound frequency thing on you while you wear it, like for different things, and just being open to these different things. I mean, we're really close. I hope. I mean, we all hope we're very close to actual health and things that are good for us. And but we just have to find little ways, even just turning on your phone to, you know, to YouTube and doing the healing frequencies or whatever it takes, like just opening. And then if we believe it, we achieve it. It happens because I mean, I went down the road. I had like a sinus thing. I was down this long trail, you know, for a while about stuff. And I had a doctor who was going to really help me, and ended up, you know, my eyes turned yellow and you're like flat. You started to realize that medicine has made me feel bad. It has hurt me. You know, I have felt worse on medication for whatever reason, you know, not even to mention I have a lot of family members I'm uncomfortable with. Were told many years ago about antidepressants that you're just going to have to take it the rest of your life. You have a chemical imbalance, and kind of like they felt some sense of relief in that, and then don't realize that they're not happy. They're not, it hasn't worked. We've upped the level, you know, you lose people to this medicine that is taking people away from us, not bringing them any amount of health. And I was quietly listening as I have really strong feelings about all of it. And even more, I just knew where my intuition laid and my guides. And I told you early on, I had that, you know, when a doctor was asking me when my child was small, I was fortunate enough, what do you think? You know, and just that connection you have, we do know and we do sense. And like, we just were steered towards natural stuff on our own, but the system's rigged against it. I was happy to hear what you guys were saying about the veteran stuff. It's just this year, we've been to a chiropractor more than we've been to anything this year. And like my daughter, though, the way the insurance is rigged, because we don't go to regular doctors, and we have one that she's a naturopath who's also a doctor, but we just haven't needed to go this year. But they rigged the system against it to where she got over her 20, you know, none of it was covered till you meet your like ginormous deductible. And then when we met that finally, my son broke his arm and stuff, so you meet it. And then they can't pay because it's over 20 visits, and they only allow 20 visits, but they didn't pay for any, not a dime, nothing. But, you know, it's just rigged. And it's fine. We'll do whatever it takes to not go in the wrong doctor offices. But it's just rigged for the other system. They want you to have to go to their people and have to go, you know. And so just sitting in all of us, the rabbit hole goes so deep. And we're getting an opportunity. We're all going to be faced with that this year, you know, right now, like standing up and taking and not consenting and becoming, and that just leads to that sovereignty. You know? When I just think of I do not consent, we just come towards the sovereignty. And I didn't have these labels and call these things the right, well, there is no right label, but I didn't use all these terms that I've become more familiar with this year. But I've been it's just been stepping towards that sovereignty. There's that funny show, it's like Parks and Rec, and the guy, Ron, writes himself the permission slip that says, I can do what I want. You know, that's really what it is. Like, I can do what I want, you know, and I am, and I have been. And it's not, you lose friends, you lose family, you lose, you know, all kinds of things, but you gain what you gain and what you find within. And just on a healing level, just that every thought, I just spent, like I said, I had the writing coming through back in 13 to 16. I was just watching those thoughts so closely. Like, where does that thought come from? Because, you know, on my journey in this particular lifetime, I've been fortunate that I created and co-created a lot of great things. And then I had to say, why still the same repetitive stuff? Like, why the same, when all my, not misery, but sadness, feeling, I had this thing I called the lonely feeling always as a child. And so all these things you create, you get all these dreams, and then you're just the same. You know, you have to look at those thoughts. And so my son was misdiagnosed too, speaking on the healing, with like a fever disorder. And because my husband's of Armenian descent, they said it was FMS, and it was the only fever disorder that you would have your whole life. And he has to take this horrible medication, and it's what they give people for gout. It makes you sick every day. The poor little guy has to, like, stomach aches and a mess. But I was really careful with the language we used. So I probably did better job for him than I've ever done for me, right? Because you question, you second guess, you know, for your kid, you're like, so I told everyone in the house, we need to be grateful for this medication, right? That he has it. But this is not our truth. This is not your journey. You are not going to have this the rest of your life. You are not, you know. And so people wanted to say to me like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your, I'm like, no, don't you, no, like, we're good, you know. And we were like 100% just really careful what we said about it, what we thought about it, how we, and like that was not our journey. That isn't our truth. That is not going to happen for you. And but we're gonna do what we need to do. And so he had to take it so he didn't get sick every 3 weeks kind of thing. So there was a few years he did, and finally we stepped out of it and had him tested again. You can't get like a definitive answer, but lo and behold, I don't know how it happened, whether it was that it was the wrong disorder or a miracle or whatever, I don't care. But he does not take that medicine and he does not have it anymore. And so it's a fine line, you know, but I've watched those thoughts, and that experience changed me too, because for my own health, I haven't done it as well as for your children, you'll do it, you know, anything. So it's a real blessing that to see, just because you get diagnosed with something, just because everyone's just human, they're just people, and they're being taught. I think doctors are going to have to go through a lot in the next few years, because what they've been taught, and they go with these big, beautiful hearts, and they want to help people, and they want to save the world, and the damage. Same thing for teachers. Teachers are teaching crazy things to our kids, you know, like the healing that is coming is on so many levels for all of us that have, you know, we're just trying to do the right thing and are stuck in this system of other things. And that's why I love humanity. Like, when you learn things aren't what they seem, or how even false flags and things like that, they happen. You saw it with your own eyes, but it wasn't what they said. It wasn't the evil they pretend. It wasn't, you know. So anyway, I digress, but we're stepping into a whole
you're not digressing at all. It's exactly the way it is. That is the whole.
It's just exciting.
It is.
Beginning of the conversation, which is the labels that you accept. Define yourself.
Yes.
You know, if somebody said you are crazy, you're bipolar, you are, you know what I mean? You're accepting this title and this label and absorbing it and identifying yourself with it. And this is the definition of who you are. We have to do.
I always think of bipolar.
So we have to be careful when these people give us these diagnoses, because this is a label, and now I can go out into the world and use this as an excuse to continue being whatever this is that they've defined me as being. And
I always thought that you said bipolar. That bipolar thing you said, I always thought they use that. Remember with babies how they use colic when they say the baby's colicky and they don't, you know, cries all the time. Babies are communicating. There's not, you know, I had a difficult experience. My first one, it was literally like a 10-degree shift and everything. The world was fine, but it's feel like these labels, like you said, these labels, this bipolar one sort of it's the same thing as that. You know, it allows us to go out and be this thing, and you can do it. You can have it. I went through my own. I had several times I found myself down a road on an ailment, and then you end up in worse places with the way the sick care is right now. I call it like death culture.
No, it's
sick care.
It's sick care.
It's and you feel worse until you're willing to trust yourself. But the brainwashing is real, and it's there that you got to do what the doctor said, you know, all that. And I just think the doctors themselves are going to have to come out of a dense fog and figure out where they stand on all of it too. So it'll be interesting.
I think it's going to be very important for people to understand the connection between the physical and spiritual, because everything in the 3D has a spiritual expression. And I think what a lot of people are going to have to learn is that, you know, we're already built in a society that has constructs, that has certain beliefs, and, you know, trying to tear all of this down, there still has to be the realization that, you know, even though we are under the impression that we're going through a 2-world split, where we have the negative and the positive, the higher timeline and the lower timeline. You know, essentially there will always be a 3 timeline possibility, because you know, there is neutral, and neutral does have its own place. And I think that we're all going to have to learn how to shift to that neutral standpoint and take the programming that we have in this construct right now and learn that we have the power and capability to change that programming. So one thing that I've learned is that when somebody wants to label me something based off of whether it's a health condition, emotional condition, I tell them that that may be what I am from your perception, but from my belief and from my perception, this is where I'm at, and this is where I'm capable of going with my awareness of where I'm at. And so I think that's where my greatest power has come from, is learning that really owning your 3D experience and learning how to live this life in a more enjoyable way is learning that you are the hacker to the matrix, which means that if you have that underlying understanding of how it operates and how it works, you can transcend past all of that.
Yeah.
You are Leo. You can see the code.
Yes.
You see the code. You're like, wait a minute, stop. All bullets just drop down. You like, wait a minute, stop. Honestly, I was going through my therapy this week, and I told, you know, my healer or my spiritual guide, like, I feel like I'm causing myself to cause my own eyesight to fail, because I keep saying to myself that I can't see. I keep saying to myself over the years, I can't remember. And I'm like, there's certain things that are happening within me, but then there's certain things in my head that I'm telling myself that says, you can't remember anything. You can't remember, you can't think, you can't see. And all of us, it was like I was trapped in a room with the least amount of light. Like I couldn't see anything. And I couldn't find my glasses. And let me tell you something, I had laser surgery. So we both had laser surgery. So I can probably see better than most of the population.
Mm-hmm.
But because I said, oh, I can't see, I'm literally holding things like, because I was in control of that, and I was giving myself this, I don't know if you want to call it an excuse or program or what, but
limiting.
I literally felt like I was literally doing this to myself.
Yeah, it's that. And then when you start to categorize it, limiting thoughts.
Yes.
So, limitation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then you catch them. When you put them all in the category of limiting thoughts, you can catch them. You can see them going by, and you don't have to grab them, because that's the limiting thought.
It's funny because it goes right back to you back in the day when you said men are good at math, women are not good at math, and so you say, "Oh, I'm just not good at math." You know what I mean? Like you absorb these things that have been put out there. Or when you're over 40, and that's probably what I was absorbing, is when you're over 40, your eyesight gets poor. And it's like, no, it does not necessarily get poor when you're 40. If you take care of your circulation and you take care of your body and you do X, Y, Z, no, your eyesight does not have to get poor.
Yeah.
So
I would say my health at this point, I was on antidepressants, and I was going to say to that, people have this label of being mentally ill. My dad, everybody said that he was mentally ill. I watched my mom be depressed. So I thought it was normal to feel that way and be that way. And I got on antidepressants. I was in some bad relationships, and it just seemed like things kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I was just like, I'm the happiest person, right? really deep down, I'm happy. Just want to see the best in life. Want to see the best in those people that are around me. But I could not break through this ceiling of my own mind and my own depression and anxiety. And now looking back on it, you know, I was just around low vibrational people. And so because I was around a lot of low vibrational people and I allowed myself to be around people who are low vibrational, I started empathically picking up on that.
Yeah.
And then I'm down and I'm sad. And then I got on antidepressants. And when I tell you, when they say that the side effects is worse than the dang cause, you know, I had lost it. You know, very sensual woman. And I couldn't find myself able to be sensual with my partner. I'm like, no, wait a minute, not down there. What's going on with you? This is normal. And I said, you know, it's because I'm dry as a bone and I'm on antidepressants on a medication that's supposed to bring me up, but it's tearing me all the way. Tearing me all the way apart. So I had to stop that stuff. And, you know, my OB gave me a very mild antidepressant. Very mild. And he told me to take half of it. And I took half of it and it was still that bad. Until one day I said, you know what? This isn't myself. This isn't me. You know, coming to that awareness that something's wrong here, you know. There was something wrong, but now it's really something wrong, you know? And I stopped taking it, and then I hadn't smoked marijuana in years. And I smoked marijuana. And it helped me to wean myself off of the antidepressants. I started feeling better all the way around, you know? And then there came a point where I had to stop smoking the marijuana. I mean, I still smoke weed, but I smoke it for different reasons. Now I smoke it because I like it, you know, not because I need it to help me not be depressed. Because I could go a whole week without having anything to smoke. And my vibration's just fine. I'm good, you know. But when I feel like it, you know, I just want to kick back and chill, have me a little smoke, I'll have me a little smoke. And because I enjoy it now. And so like Erica was saying, they give you medication to dumb us down. Stacey, they give us medication to keep us going back to the doctors. We give our power away because we're unaware of the control structures that are in place, you know, and we give all of our power away. So I was like, no. So I stopped eating meat. I stopped eating dairy, and I stopped eating sugar. And I said, you know, I'm just going to eat raw, fresh fruits and vegetables. And I know everybody's not raw vegan, but this is where I felt led. My higher self was leading me to better health. And I went from, I don't know, probably 220 pounds to what I weigh right now. And I don't even know how much I weigh right now. All I know is I couldn't fit none of my clothes.
Okay.
I wasn't stepping on the scale trying to figure out how much weight did I lose, I just said, I'm just going to eat better. I want to feel better. I want to feel good in my body because I wasn't feeling good in my body. I wasn't feeling good in my mind. So I had to get rid of all of the things that did not serve me. Now I still eat meat sometimes and I have some ice cream every now and then, but mainly I'm putting alive things in my body. And one thing that I noticed that at the onset of the coronavirus, people were in the store buying all the tissue and all the meats. Fresh fruits and vegetable section was stocked full. Nobody was buying healthy, nutrient-rich foods. And I don't even really care if it has some GMOs. It's better than meat and it's better than sugar. You know, and it's better than the preservatives. It's going to give your body what you need to fight off whatever infectious diseases that you may come across, you know? And so I really had to really honestly ask myself, why was I depressed and why was I overweight? Because I wasn't taking care of myself. I had given my power away. I was listening to other people and I was just out of control. I didn't think I had control over my life. I didn't know that I had control over my life. You know, as much as I love Jesus and Jesus is still my spirit guide, I leaned on him for everything. I was like, do it, Jesus. Take the wheel, Jesus. take it, Jesus. You know, and until I decided that I was going to take my power back and be sovereign, was the moment I got my power back, and then my life just started to just transform. Jesus said to me, sat me down, said, I was waiting on you to do that. I was waiting on you to get me off the hook. Stop putting my name on everything, and you make the choice to make sure that your life transforms into what you know and what you feel. You got the power to do that. You always had the power. We've just given it away.
You know, it's interesting that you bring that up, the control factor, the relinquishing the control, not wanting to take control of yourself. And then even the fact of how a lot of unawakened empaths I find have found themselves having to lean on some type of antidepressant or something. And, you know, something that I found along my journey is that a lot of the times, a lot of empaths, they're what I call clairsentient. They feel. Some people are even physical receptors. I'm a physical receptor as well, where I can feel people's physical pain. And so I found that a lot of times when you're an unawakened empath, you sometimes embody energies that aren't even yours, which is why you feel so out of whack in the first place. And, you know, all the antidepressants do is they block those receptors, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now you're not even, you know, it's blocking spiritual receptors. So now you're not feeling other people, but you're also not feeling yourself, which leaves you kind of like in, I don't want to say the gray area, but it kind of leaves you like the equivalent of 4D. You're just stuck there.
Yeah, you're just stuck. Yeah.
It's like you see, but there's not much that you can do. And I found that a lot of when it comes to taking the power back, it includes also having ownership of the results. And I found that a lot of times we can get gung-ho when it comes to taking the reins when we're ready to make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times when we're suffering the consequences from it, you know, we're quick to be like, Jesus, take the wheel. You know, we're quick to drop those reins real quick.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's those consequences, it's those failures that that help you ascend and understand better. Like your journey with going raw vegan. I tried to do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that, you know, my higher self was like, ain't nobody told you to do that. You've been sitting here watching other spiritualists and with their journey and with, you know, their higher self told them, but they was like, you know, you're forgetting that your genetic makeup, the things that are wrong with you are not aligned with them. And so I had to, you know, I had to accept the fact that in my pursuit to try to get healthier, I actually made my health worse. And that's because at the end of the day, I thought I was taking control, but the control wasn't really there because it was still based on somebody else's research.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I would kind of encapsulate this and bring, you know, like as we begin to close, because man, I think
could be on here all night.
Go on forever. I mean, and it would still not be boring to me, but that it's okay to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to feel weak. It's okay to feel fear. It's okay to feel whatever it is that you're feeling and ride it out. And it's the fear of that that's making us feel like, oh no, we got to either medicate it, control it, or find someone else that can help us fix it. Because it's the fear of this feeling. Because at the end of me being depressed today or this week, what's going to happen? At the fear of, oh my God, that I feel like I can't see today. At the fear of my finances are out of control. Mm-hmm. I got to seek all this outside of me. It's that fear of what's going to happen that makes us go out and get medications and get surgeries and go to someone else to try to heal us. when we know, and something that we're going to talk about, Shalom, because next year is New Year, New Man. We're going to talk about
Yeah.
the fellas, New Year, New Man, and talk to the ladies and the fellas about what's going on with relationships, that it's okay to not be satisfied today. It's okay to not be happy today. It's okay to not feel in control today, because there's tomorrow. But guess what? Your divine father, that divine connection you have between your father, you don't really have to go look for a man to fix it, a doctor to fix it, a medicine to fix it, a pill. But let's ride this out. Let's just relax. It's hard to imagine, like, today, however old you are today, imagine you 30 more years, like, oh my God, 30 more years to drive this car, to ride this vehicle, to live this expression of life. That freaks the hell out of me. I don't know how it feels about you. Like, I can't even imagine myself at 76, that I got 76 more years. But I got to relax and take this in for today. This is Erica today. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. This is Victoria today. Do you know what's going to happen next week?
All I know is that I'm going to be happy. That's all I know. I don't know. You know what? I have been ambitious for so many years and always had a plan and always striving to get someplace and be some. This year has knocked out all capability of being able to take those advances, really, because it was getting yourself out there personally and all that. And I'm really not one for this computer stuff, really. But I have lost all ambition, but I am so happy because I know that now that I've let all that go, everything's coming.
Yeah.
Everything's coming.
And I see it, and I'm like, but I'm so comfortable with that. I'm not looking at life seriously. I don't need a lot of things. I don't need anything. I just love the camaraderie of being with other women and talking about real things in life, and the importance of just, loving ourselves. That's the secret. Before I met my husband, I was celibate for an entire year. I didn't date anybody, didn't see nobody. I just stayed raised my kids, took care of my kids. Yeah. But I was just by myself, and I had a lot of alone time with myself, and I fell in love with myself. And I fell in love with myself. I said, I really love being with you. And I just appreciate you so much. And look at all your talents. Look at all these good things. So it was only my own self talking to self. And that was the turning point for me, because once I was able to fall in love with me, other people were able to fall in love with me. And I attracted that same energy to myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
And Stacey, what would you say?
What's the question?
Sorry, my ear pod ran out, so I had to put the other one in. But anyway, that's the secret, is really just being in love with yourself. Because when you feel so good about yourself, you're going to just put that out into your art field, and people are like, I want some of that. I want that around me. She makes me feel good about myself when I'm there, because she feels good about herself, and less work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Beautiful.
Yes.
What would you say, like living for the moment, living for the day, just being happy with you today? Well, just speaking on that, because that's basically what it is. Like, you trust you now. You live today. You trust you. You're not trying to fix a whole year. And like what we would say in my business is, you can't eat an elephant in one bite. You take it one bite at a time, right? So now
you need to savor it. You need to savor every little thing.
I couldn't tell whether it was a recording in the loop. What would you define, like?
Well, I just know that we're having such a beautiful time to go within. I've been sharing recently and feeling called to share. It's just about, this time really is a gift, and we are able to really see our surroundings and be like, we've taken the same walk every day this year, and we've gone down, and we're lucky to live by the beach, and so we go to the sand, and it changes. It's the same route, and we walk it every day, and it's not the same. You know, we've never had this situation before where we've spent so much time on this one particular coastline, and so the rocks are different. I was wondering one day if there was some kind of timeline jump, because I just didn't even know why these rocks were like they were, because they weren't like that the day before, you know, and what the tide's in, the tide's out, you know, and just to really be there. And we've used that as like a grounding space for us to really be where we're at. And it's tricky because we're not so many places, right? We can't go and do all the things we used to do, but it's such a blessing. And just to really see where you're at, be where you're at. And the thing about living what you know is just to really listen. You know, there's a generous listening that we can do for one another. And I think we did. I loved this talk. I'm really grateful to all you ladies. It was beautiful to hear you and listen, but it's listening to you, you know, to all your voices, and to really just take this as a gift, because it is a gift in so many ways. We're living this absolute presence right now. And the more we just do that, like, I just wrote a poem called The Beach Rock, just because it's just a beautiful thing to truly see where we're at each day, you know, and enjoy this quieted time, and just experience all the gifts we're being given right now. That life isn't just this busy, distracted, hurried mess that's going on that didn't make a whole lot of sense. You know, it doesn't make sense right now. There's a lot of wacky, icky, yucky stuff coming up, but in a lot of ways, what's real, what's in your actual reality, where you're at, there's so much beauty, you know, there's so much to connect to, and there's so much to take out of this time.
I laugh because I told someone today, I said, guess what? If I don't turn on my television, and if I don't turn on my computer or my phone, guess what? Biden doesn't exist. Trump doesn't exist. None of these people freaking exist. If I don't
doesn't it they're not real? Yeah, they're not real. It's not real. Yeah. And then you meet people, I just put in that, you know we can stand right next to someone and we're in completely different realities. So we're in control of that. We're in control of what we're looking at, what we're listening to, where we're putting our attention, and we're all so ripe for this. I know all of you have such soul that you feel it this year, where your heart just wants to, it just feels like it's going to burst, right? With so much love for your fellow man, you know, and woman, and just what we all go through, and just really, you know, we're going to come out of this. We're going to live in the light and the truth, and we're going to be so grateful to see people shining different colors, different ways, different, you know, there's just so much beauty. And we've been like in this tunnel. They want us in this tunnel, just seeing everything, the narrative, the one way. And it's a lie, you know. We're much more, and we're coming up on an exciting time where we're going to be living that more. So thank you.
Most definitely. And Ria, what would you say?
I would say that one of the keys for me, and one of the things that I've been really focusing on, is having the joy also comes from understanding that, you know, take the judgment away from self in all of this. Like we're so hard on ourselves about everything. And 9 times out of 10, especially when you get into astrology, you realize that we all have cycles, because the energies affect us in different ways based on our own, you know, genetic makeup, whether, you know, especially with our spiritual DNA. And 9 times out of 10, well, actually, I'm going to say 10 times out of 10, we are all in divine timing. It's a divine cycle. You're being divinely guided. And that's one thing that I've had to accept, is that where I am is exactly where I'm supposed to be at, you know, and pushing past a point, and I haven't taken the time to fully absorb and to fully feel and interact and to change my perspective, just does me a disservice in my growth. So I think the biggest thing about right now is really kind of learning to be okay with where you're at. Because we can say, you know, find happiness, you know, you're doing this, you're doing that. But I found that, you know, especially working with some of my clients, some people actually feel like they have done literally nothing. And they judge themselves on that because they look around and they say, oh, I've seen people releasing this, or I see people growing, and they're judging themselves because they're still having a hard time 9 months, 10 months post-corona. And the thing is, I just want people to understand that no matter what actions or lack of action that you're taking, you're where you're supposed to be, and to be gentle with yourself, love on yourself through the hurt, through the pain, through the confusion, because the light will come. And you don't have to force a narrative of being happy if you're not. But if you're going to acknowledge that that's the energy you're in, just really learn how you can transmute. You don't have to have a false positivity if it's not there, but it's how to find the strength in the will to learn how to transmute it.
You hit some great, great, great points. And for Shalom?
Same here. Everybody really hit on some very good points. Victoria, just loving yourself. Stacy, just allowing yourself to be who you are. And Rhea, understanding that where you are is where you're supposed to be. You know, understanding that everything is in a divine time. We came with a blueprint already predetermined. We chose this way of life for ourselves because we knew it would awaken us to our divinity. And knowing that in every moment is so important. Being easy on ourselves, you know, not allowing myself to feel like I need to achieve something, you know, because when I was going through it, I thought of this design here during my dark night of the soul a few years, about almost 2 years ago. I had a very heavy time and I thought of this, and I got the design ready and I got the drawing done and everything like that. And Spirit said, my heart self said, nope, you cannot put it out there because you're only going to do it because you're scared about money. So you need to put it on the shelf and you need to heal. And it wasn't until I had a spark of inspiration. Spirit said, now is the time to unleash it. Now is the time to bring it out, because I wasn't doing it from a place of desperation, but in place of inspiration. You know what I'm saying? Because I was proud of myself, because I have been thinking this whole time, everybody else got a business. Everybody else is producing and creating their own reality. Why can I not do that? It's because I wasn't ready to. It wasn't my time yet.
Wasn't your time.
It wasn't my time yet. And until I got comfortable with cheering on everybody else and supporting everybody else and what they were doing, I would just get readings from people just to support. I didn't care what you told me, but I wanted to support what everybody was doing because I had to train myself, you know what I'm saying, to honor others, even in the midst of my own shit, because I was going through it. I needed some bread, right? Felt like I needed some money. And then when I said I ain't even need it, that everything that I have is provided for me in every now moment.
Yes.
It said, now you ready. You can put it on out there. And I have my first international sale, y'all. I'm so happy. I know.
Congratulations.
International. I was like, yes, Spirit. Thank you. Just proving myself. God says, prove me now in this. I grew up in the church. Prove me now. Prove me. And I keep proving because I keep trusting and I keep loving myself and I keep honoring myself. I keep living in integrity. You know, I said, if it's not from a place of love and inspiration, I ain't doing it.
You know, that makes me think the next time we talk, we should talk about that book, Sacred Commerce. I started it and, you know, I'm just going to leave it at that. So I think the next time we talk, we should talk about Sacred Commerce, and we'll throw something in there next. Definitely, when it comes to perception, perception is reality. For me, my hardest lesson was, you know, going out. There's, you know, we hit on knowledge, what you know. There's what you know, and then there's what you think you know. And so we base our existence on what we think we know. And so there's history that we think we know, how we feel, we think we know, you know, what just happened today, we think we know, and we don't always know. You know, what hit me hard was when I realized there were things people were telling me along the way that I didn't realize, like, oh no, you know, until I realized, oh yeah, you actually are forgetting things or not seeing things, or that you have this blind spot. And then when it was pointed out to me, then I started to understand I cannot rely on my own understanding. My perception of what just happened in any situation is not necessarily what really happened. So it is not necessarily true. My perception is my reality. When me and Victoria talk, her perception is just as valid as mine. So then we start to understand that as we go out here, we perceive that we're not always right. Now, you know,
There's more to the story.
Yeah.
there's more to the story, and there's more than two sides. It might be three sided, it might be four. I don't know. Because
7.7 billion.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's something when it comes to the mask. Like when I would talk to certain people about the mask, I said, you know, there's 324 million people in the United States of America. I'm sorry, but they're not all going to agree with you when it comes to a mask, or should people stay home or go to work, or what they should do. You gotta flex your mind for that. But I appreciate that as my military experience, we got to go different countries. And I said, well, what do you feel? What do you think? And then I became this citizen journalist back then, finding out, well, what do you think about America? Well, how do you feel about Germany? And what do you feel about France? And what do you feel about what's going on? Even when it comes to racism, which is why we're uniting the divine feminine, we have this perception of what's happening in America. And so here, you know, my phone is so smart. It knows that I'm a Black woman. So it shows me pictures of weave commercials and certain things, you know, products and things. And it shows me news about Black people getting hurt and shot. But then also as a Black person, I have to understand too that when you know, when Stacy or Victoria picks up her phone, she don't see the same ads that I see. She don't see the same news that I see. That this artificial intelligence targets her in a different way, and it shows her Black crime against white people, where it shows me white crime against white people. And some of this crime is not even real. Some of this is just staged and fake. And so we have to, you know, I had got to the point where, you know, I was living with another lady, and I walked out and the man was cutting the grass, and there was a white man cutting the grass. And I'm literally feeling like he might be angry when I walk outside. So I walk outside and I said, I'm scared to say hello. And I was like, wait a minute, let me step outside of that, because this is all programming me, because I'm watching these commercials and news clips and these things that are supposed to be real, this whatever this is, this perception of reality. And I walk outside and that man says hey to me like it ain't nothing. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, let me step into reality. When I go to the store, when I'm checking out, let me say, how you doing at the clerk, and ask her how does she like her job and how she feeling today, and then let me get in touch with her and her reality. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and then here we go when we talked about time and your goals and accomplishment, because we get to this point where we feel like we got to be accomplishing something every minute of the day, and we are very hard on ourselves. And then I know over time, being a person who was doing medical technology, going to different people's houses, I see so many different people. And I saw a lady, she was in her 60s and she was studying to be a nurse. And I was like, oh my God, you know, getting a bachelor's degree to be a nurse at 60. One time I was at the library, I saw a lady, she was in her 60s. She was well over 60, but she was studying math so she could take this pass a class so that she could go to college for something. And I was like, oh my God, like I've already got an associate's. This lady's studying a remedial math class so that she can get into college. And I'm like, look at her, over 60. That broke me down, made me cry, because here she was at a different age, further along in life, still setting goals for herself at that age. And that made me start to feel more and more, it doesn't matter how old I am, I can keep going and I can set goals and I can keep trying and I can keep, and it does a lot for a person's heart when you get to realize, like, Shalom's track is not my track. Ria's track is not my track. Stacy's track is not my track. Your journey is not my journey. And I have my own timeline, you know? I remember even when I was younger saying, I think I can, still holding on to that little engine that could, saying,
Yeah.
I think I can. And using that, whatever I could use, whatever I could dig up in me to just keep me going, you know. And this is what our whole life is. This is what our whole existence is. My figuring out what my track is, figuring out who I am, getting rid of everybody else's voices and finding out what my voice is, being comfortable with me doing what I'm supposed to be doing and not looking over there and looking over there. Kind of like we need to be like a horse with blinders on. So stop looking at what everybody else is doing and what they're accomplishing. You know, even growing up, or not growing up, but I know when I got divorced, my mom said, you could have did this and you ruined your life. And I was like, no, I didn't ruin my life. I found out what I didn't want and I decided to go for what I did want. You know, I don't have to be what other people are being and do what other people are doing. And then this is getting us closer to what our truth is. So, you know, it was wonderful talking to you, and I appreciate it. And I look forward to us each getting to know more about each other. Ria, how do we find you?
What I can do is in the comment of the live, I can post my my business page, because I do have a business page. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of those people who opted to use my personal profile as like my blog space and how I spread my messages, because I never was that active before my business on social media, and that's kind of the intention with my profile page. So the one that you tag, I can be reached on, and on my business page, it also has my handles for my email, where people can purchase my readings from, and my services from. So yeah, I will link all of that down below. So yeah.
And Stacy, we need to know your last name. It reminds me of Hotep, or it just seems Egyptian.
My husband's Armenian, so often when they have like IAN on the end, I didn't learn it till I met him, but IAN is often Armenian. So.
Oh, okay. And where do we find you and your services?
Oh, I'm active on my regular profile page. I actually quit using livewhatyouknow. Or my other Facebook page. I just got more active on Facebook this year. So just Stacey Hacopian at Facebook, but I'm writing a lot more now on livewhatyouknow.org. So you can find me there. And it has all my contact info and stuff through there. So thank you.
Well, you can find me on all social media platforms. Shalom, I am light, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and I also started a YouTube channel. And on that, and on those platforms, you can also find links to my store, The Light Shop, where I create high frequency apparel for your home, for your body. I'm wearing one of my shirts today. I wore it to the mall and it says, I am God. And I was just like, yeah, walking around like, yeah. Really proud of myself. So, but yeah, I honor you guys and I thank you guys so much for being who you are. It's beautiful. I love you guys so much.
Well, thank you. Love you.
And for
Victoria, and your light is
Victoria
beautiful.
is CEO of In the Bottle. It's victorious.com, and we'll connect that link. And for myself, it's always the First Lady Erica, firstladyerica.com. I'm on Patreon, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So we're gonna post this channel or post this on YouTube. So we just ask that you like and subscribe. And then there's also the Mo Zone with the First Lady Erica on YouTube. So just like, join, subscribe, help us get support, because I feel like this is, there's The View, and I don't know what The View is. I really don't know what that is. I don't know if that's paid or
The fake news.
I think it's about yeah. I think it's
Fake news.
so. These are some
Yeah.
real women talking about real life, not trying to lead you down a road of paid I don't know, paid ideas and fake ideas and a fake construct of what the world should be. I'm all anti fake it till you make it. I'm anti bull crap. I hate that fake it till you make it idea or preaching it. You know what I'm saying? These are my real boobs, real eyelashes, real hair. You know what I'm saying? Like real life. And life is messy, and we're just not about that. And so these are some wonderful ladies, real ladies. They're trying to get you back in touch with yourself, not trying to get you to follow us, but to follow yourself. And that's what it's really about for me. So I thank you. And I so look forward
Thank you.
to be here. Event 2020, there's a planet-wide meditation going on. I encourage people to do their own research for that and to join in. If you just want to make this better, to be better for yourself, for your kids, help them to be themselves, find themselves, know themselves, and be confident within themselves, that you don't really need all the opinions and thoughts of others to live your life. That's really what this is really all about. Just know thyself and be in control of your life and get in touch with your creator. So I thank you so much for all the people that liked and commented and joined us today. And I look forward to talking to you all again.
Love you.
All
Love
right.
you. Thank you.
Okay.